And then we got to the steel cage match. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. This is my house, motherfucker. I love him so much.
That shot above the ramp. Well, it's not a ramp anymore, is it? It's nothing. But the screen in the crowd. And then Punk, when he's doing that entrance and he sort of turns around and it capturing him, like looking back. And obviously they've planned it earlier in the day because he's like looking for that camera. He's standing there long enough. Looks absolutely incredible. The full Madison Square Garden and like CM Punk and there's a big friggin' stage. That's pro wrestling, and that's what I like. It's like instant wrestling screensaver for me. It's one of the highlights of the show for me was a still image of an entrance.
Yeah.
It says a lot, doesn't it?
The still imagery of the match as well was
It's good.
It's good stuff.
Rollins chucked his jacket at Punk when he got in, and they fight, just swinging at each other back and forth. Rollins catches Punk in the corner as Punk goes for a knee. Powerbombs him into the cage wall to take us to a break. When we come back, Rollins opens the door and tells Punk to leave. But Punk, well, some of us saw it, some of us didn't. Punk flips off Rollins. They keep censoring stuff. They censored more on earlier. We talked about it in the news. There's black screens all over the place, but then occasionally a middle finger would get through. Rollins went for another powerbomb, but Punk raned him into the cage instead and hit Rollins with a GTS. But Punk's still recovering, can't capitalize. So instead, he drives Rollins' face into the cage and hits a running knee to the back of his head.
Hang on, sorry, one thing. I'm sorry to interject, because I will forget about this. So I'm going to mention it now. Netflix made it sort of like name really. I got really like, blew up. True crime. That's like, true crime got massive. And so we have to watch Netflix to watch this and stuff. That's certainly my interpretation of it. Like, why can't you just show someone flipping someone off?
Well, it was inconsistent as well. Like, there was bits where he did a double bird when he was on the top row and you just saw that.
Yeah. So odd.
This time Punk invites Rollins to leave, but Rollins flips him off.
Crimes against wrestling every week on this show as well. And you don't black out the whole thing.
Punk goes to the top, hits an elbow drop, a second one.
Like the history of like crime on HBO. The Wire, The Sopranos, The Death Row.
Yeah. Punk goes to the top, hits an elbow drop, goes up top again, double bird,
American
second elbow
Murder,
drop.
Robert Gibson. That's the Death Riders one. Sorry, go on.
Punk hits the third flying elbow drop and goes for the first cover of the match. Gets a 2 count. Then he climbs to the top of the cage, teases an elbow off there, but Rollins catches him up there. There's a great drone shot going around from them fighting on the top of the cage. In the end, Rollins gets knocked back inside and superplexes CM Punk from the top to get a near fall. Goes for a pedigree. Punk counters into a GTS for a 2 count. Goes for another one, but Rollins counters into an STF. Punk eventually reverses that into an Anaconda Vice, but Rollins rakes his eyes to get out of it and hits a curb stomp for a 2 count. He sets up for a super stomp, but Punk yanks him off the ropes and hits a third GTS for a great 2 count, and a curb stomp from CM Punk for another 2 count. Punk doesn't know what to do. There's an open door there, but Rollins yells at him, "If you want my house, take it from me. Earn it, you asshole." So Punk flies at him with a running knee, sets up for the GTS.
Dialogue in pro wrestling recently.
But Rollins gets out of the GTS and hits a GTS of his own. Hits a curb stomp for another great 2 count. The crowd are loving it. Hits a super stomp off the middle rope. And he just slumps in the corner looking at his work. Doesn't go for a cover, doesn't try to leave. But the door again is still open from earlier on. And suddenly you hear this noise from the crowd. And Roman Reigns snatches Rollins round the neck and yanks him out of the ring. Obviously, Rollins out of the cage, therefore wins the match. But it's all for naught, basically, because Rollins can't believe what he's seeing. Roman Reigns is back. He hits Rollins with a Superman punch, a spear, his own curb stomp. He sets Rollins' head on the steel steps. He's going to stomp his head into that, but this time Postman Pierce and all the officials run down to stop him. And suddenly, Reigns' attention turns to the ring where CM Punk is recovering, being helped to his feet and comforted by Paul Heyman. And Reigns sort of smirks and snarls and enters the ring, throws Punk into the cage walls, spears him. Heyman sort of backs off and Roman Reigns stands tall as the crowd chant OTC and the show goes off the air.
Can I go first? Sorry.
Yeah.
Because it's probably better for bad news, good news. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you liked it.
Elements of it. Didn't love it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you go first then, Paul.
All right, mate. Do match
That's how we
first.
do things, you know? Dr. Fed goes first on
It's true, yeah. Reverend Dub.
And Reverend Dub goes first on AEW.
The match, it didn't lose the build. I have to say this. It did not lose the building one bit by the end, but it lost me. And the repeat finisher spam stuff had people going nuts in there. So maybe this is just like an isolated experience for me. The more that happened, the more I came to the realization I didn't care who won or lost because I felt like it didn't really have ramifications. I had a sense that Seth might win somehow, maybe with a pinfall because it like levels the series, and you sense that it was going to be the triple threat, or the two of them are going to WrestleMania together. But the more the finishes happened, the less I cared about the outcomes. That wasn't ideal for me as a viewing experience. But in the building, massively over. So I can't fault it too much. I really, really, really enjoyed the rest of the match. Really enjoyed it. Really well agented for a very, very WWE cage match. They didn't shy away from the fact that you have these escape rules and you've got them whether you want them or not. But both of the wrestlers owned that.
Yeah.
A little bit dramatic at points, but they owned it well to kind of illustrate, no, this is going to be settled. This is going to be settled in the ring unless a situation like a Roman Reigns comes along and makes it otherwise. This is going to be, it's going to happen here. The production around the drone shot, but the production in general around the stuff when they went up high, it actually illustrated high risk. Them two fighting up there, as the drone captured it, reminded me of, I think it was the Hell in a Cell where, remember it was like Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens were fighting on top. I can't remember if the roof was dodgy or something, but it was just like, it was really uneasy viewing because Shane's coming off that thing. And oh, God. I remember the tension around that specific one. And for me, they captured that brawling on the top. Maybe it's because like they're both a little bit older, or you're not going to get.
Our Punk would have exploded.
Yeah, like you're not going to get like
he would have
this kind of bounce, or like, and of course I'm going to use a comparison, but like of an Ospreay Fletcher coming off there with a Spanish fly. That's not happening with them two.
No,
like that's the stretchers coming out, and so there was a real sense of jeopardy up there, which I loved. It's funny you mention about that because a year ago, obviously after the Rumble, like with the people with the elite banners or the carry on my wayward shows or whatever, we're like fragile Phil. It's like the guy was bumping around that cage. It was like electrifying to watch, like from the off, getting like the Booker bomb in there, like same at the Chamber, same at the Rumble. I'm loving watching CM Punk bump. He did the best 3 elbow drops of his whole career. Yeah. Like all of them were good. I didn't see that coming. I think, what are you doing going up there? You're doing one from the top just because you finally nailed how to do it like 10, 12 years
I
ago.
audibly said, WrestleMania's in like 6 weeks, mate. Don't do this.
Yeah. Like I thought they played with the drama of all of those things really, really well. I just wasn't into the finisher stuff because I didn't care who won or lost. The Roman Reigns stuff, well executed, well performed. Roman seemed to be, he's still trying too much for me, but he was at least trying to claw back his aura in all of this and claw back his
Rare
aura.
that we get a Roman Reigns surprise, i.e. not with like the music and stuff, he just is there.
And it was welcome. And I never want to just like sort of outright be like, that's a Punker call. But sometimes you do think there are certain voices in the room that just simply know how things will play out better. And elements of that felt like tied to Punk. I didn't love Roman and Punk's involvement because what's going on there? You've actually dropped something. Roman going for, he sees Paul Heyman helping him up. So what? Like, it's
his wise man.
My wise man. That's rubbish. They made friends at Survivor Series. They shared a mutual respect because Punk helped. It was enough that they'd helped each other in War Games. Punk should have been raging with Roman because it just cost him the match. Roman can get back in the ring and do like, and then Punk, like, Punk swings a kick or something because Roman's just cost him the match. And then Roman's like, we're doing that, are we? Then he can spare him. He's fresh. Like, absolutely, you don't need much to trigger the violence between them. The bond was uneasy in War Games as it was. I just thought going back in there, drilling with a spear was a bit like, well, yeah, we've got to do this because the 3-way's happening whether we like it or not. They tried to tell you here.
Are you missing the Royal Rumble stuff?
They tried to tell you here
I'm only playing devil's advocate.
that this triple threat
I think it's a slop.
They tried to tell you without really showing you that this triple threat match is the biggest thing at WrestleMania, and I didn't really feel it from this interaction. I certainly did from the Rumble, and I loved the finish of the Elimination Chamber, but this was the weakest of the 3 chapters for me so far.
Got a few things to say about this, so it'll be a bit scattered. First of all, right, as much as I appreciate the idea, and I would wish there was more of this in pro wrestling, that unclean, that a bit of a kink of mine. Come here, I'll demonstrate. When they get the forearm and just shave it and scrape it against each other's faces, right? I love that, but not as much as Punk seems to be doing it. And that highlighted to me or reminded me he is doing this thing, and I guess it works narratively, where every single person he faces hates him, and it's a grudge feud, And then, because I was thinking a lot about CM Punk versus MJF during this, okay, wherein I remember the whole deal was, and obviously people were going to just jump on it, and I knew he's not just coming in to do random exhibition matches on Rampage. It's all building something. Like, there's obviously the dual purpose of he's getting his cardio up, but the whole thing was, when CM Punk going to get a story in AEW? He's fighting a babyface first. Then what's this Matt Sydal on Rampage? Great match. QT Marshall. What the hell did they do that for? But the whole idea was he is winning matches because he wants to win the title. Oh! In comes, enters stage left, MJF. Then that's a sidetrack. By the time that CM Punk and MJF had really started to loathe each other and realize that they were sort of like each other's AEW career rivals, arch nemesis, it really felt like something because it built it. The idea of happy to be there, Punk, just disintegrating. That level of heft and emotion and how credible all that felt, it's just not here with the CM Punk in WWE. So when he did that face scrape, I was like, oh, I like a bit of that. He's like, and I'm thinking, he kind of does it in every single match. I'd noticed that there's a difference there, and I'm just trying to work out the difference. And part of the great thing about the CM Punk MJF feud was just every little detail of like the Piper Valentine stuff. It just felt like, I like Roddy Piper more than you. And then to go to Will You Be My Valentine, and just that beautiful level of detail. And it just felt like these two had locked in to this mutual passion project, and they just loved doing it, evidently. I don't get any sense of that love and passion and craft behind this storyline with the three of these. I just don't. Like CM Punk,
I get the most from Seth Rollins.
I know.
Because he needs it the most.
CM Punk, like Seth Rollins, I get it. He needs it the most. This is his lane. Like, yes, he'd want to wrestle. He'd want to headline WrestleMania Sunday. Who wouldn't? But I think it's his job in his head to make the best damn WrestleMania Saturday there ever was, God bless him for doing that. CM Punk, I just suspect he wanted a shot of Seth Rollins before he could get to Roman or before he could get to something else. He just don't get the feeling that this is what he wants to do. Roman is, I'll turn up an MSG, to set up the match for Mania, and then you maybe see it's like he's beat Solo Sikoa, and then he's f***ed off. Like, you cannot tell me this guy hasn't thought to himself, had a good 4 years, I'll come in when I need to do. Cody's won. He's took the Rock offers. I just get the sense that, and maybe it's the fact because he's never there. Like Roman Reigns isn't giving it the old college try. He can do as many oorahs as he wants, but that's his job. That's his job. It's not like a passionate, I have been wronged at the Royal Rumble and I'm coming back. It's like, it's time to do oorah. It's like, it still feels phoned into me.
I agree.
It still feels
WWE was his when he was on top. I didn't even like half the run, but he was always his. 2020 to him losing the belt to Cody, WWE was his domain.
Doesn't feel like it's his anymore, and he knows it, and it just doesn't feel like a part. It's 2 out of the 3. Who wants it? Not these two. And I can just feel it. Even in MSG on the match. It's funny, right? There is a fake match, okay, that doesn't happen. Often attributed falsely, of course, because this match is fake, to the Young Bucks, which is ironic considering it's CM Punk in this match. And in this fake match that has never happened, right, because it just doesn't. It's a spot fest where the spam finisher kickouts, and that's all you ever see. They lost the thread of this so badly, I was almost speechless. CM Punk, of all people, who can make the slight shake of an elbow that's just been damaged, and how he can't do a hold, and that chain of sequences. It was almost sad watching him do. This was slop towards the end. Like, it really was. Like, it's one thing because here's the comparison, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher to do something like this, because that's kind of the wrestlers they are. And even I thought that, we described it on the review yesterday, which you can check out wherever you get your podcasts from. I said, is it imperfect or flawed? I was dancing around those terms because ultimately there were moments where I thought you're doing too much in here. But then what they did, no matter the volume of it, was so unbelievable that I was like, I'm on the ride personally, even though this goes against some of my sensibilities, really. This just didn't feel like CM Punk. This did not feel like a CM Punk match and what he values about his pro wrestling craft. I don't know whether it's because he's physically nowhere near the same as he was, and he was never an athlete, and he knows, I'm in WWE now, I can do the Heyman layout. If nothing else, I can do the Heyman layout and get a pop, pop, pop. They just lost the thread. If they're losing Hamflett and it's CM Punk in a steel cage match in the Garden, there's something to be said. And it's just so ironic that of all people, CM Punk made real this mythical match that knobheads on Reddit have made up to bury New Japan when it was big, or AEW when it was getting there, because they can't handle the idea that someone likes something more than their thing. And, you know, I try not to get annoyed by those types of people, but it was striking to me how this fabled fake match that they make up in their heads actually kind of happened on Raw, and CM Punk was in it. Just something to think about there.
I see a bit of, this is not from Sidge at all, I see occasional criticisms of CM Punk within WWE as this, I don't know, like it's a dirty word or something. I've said this before, once it was to be a bit of a troll on forums being like, well, the best CM Punk's actually WWE superstar CM Punk. I actually believe that, right? But you see it, and the AW comparison is useful because obviously there are highs so incredibly up there as some of the all-time stuff he's ever done. But I genuinely believe that CM Punk and WWE are best fit for each other. I do. For a number of
greatest hits versus studio album, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
Both have merits.
Aye, that's a really good way of putting it, yeah. And I think on his day and on WWE's day, I think the two are perfect for one another. And it's almost when it feels like there's push and pull that makes it more perfect, because you're like, him here? Yes, actually. You wouldn't think it, but yes. And I would say the form he's in at the moment, he's found form, I'll say that, because, we'll never agree on SummerSlam. But if you go from Hell in a Cell through to War Games, through to the Rumble.
Sami Zayn was a CM Punk match.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn was a CM Punk match that I thought was great.
Punk is form. And I'm not using this to like beat Seth Rollins over the head with it, because there's these two matches, right? It's and I'm probably higher on Seth Rollins than Sidge will ever be.
No, you are.
But yeah.
Without question.
Both of them have suffered various different things that are kind of intrinsically WWE. And then that chips away at my CM Punk in WWE argument. And I would say, to Sidge's point about the finisher spam, even I'm going like...
This is what you're in for at Mania, by the way.
You're cleverer, Punk. You're cleverer than this. Like, you're not spamming things with Sami Zayn. You might go for stuff and you might try each other's bits.
Who's just Seth Rollins is bad, guys?
I have seen evidence to the contrary, but so often he makes it a waste of your time trying to defend him. You know, like
this could be the Mania match, you know. But
I know.
But this plus Spears minus Cage.
There are so many.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like you say on the ride. Like I really like this. I was with the MSG crowd for this.
There are so many contrasting things about this Mania match. Seth Rollins, as we've talked about quite recently on this podcast, has got a better CV than he's credited for at WrestleMania, right? And a lot of those matches are rooted in finisher spam or bombs or whatever it is. Roman Reigns, extremely mixed. But the big stuff that Roman Reigns does has been very well received in the last couple of years. Punk.
WrestleMania 31 as well.
Yeah. Punk, a bit of an X factor in this era of WrestleMania, but was known for making real meaningless drivel on those mid-cards matter to the extent where he believed he should have been in the main event. Like Ray and Orton. Yeah, there's elements of those matches, feuds to like, but the matches over-delivered on what
I
time
still
they were
remember
given, you know?
like Punk's worked dickhead limp after he'd like done the limb work on Orton, then he was going in the corner.
Just brilliant.
Yeah.
Taker.
That Taker match is
touch
unbelievable.
that on that card, you know. So like, it's so fascinating. It's like, which version of which guy are we getting on this night? Because it could just these all three and be like, right, let's. Like, it's ironic to say this when you've got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins there, CM Punk coming in. Right, guys, come on, let's steal the show.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even visualize it, can you? But that's what he did at Hell in a Cell with Drew. Right, the Bloodline have got the main event. Nobody's going to talk about Bloodline after this. Are they Drew? Let's go to work, you know? It's fascinating. That's the document. I don't want Rock's line of bullshit on the documentary this year, I want these three. Because what does this look like?
Yeah.
You're just not going to know till they're in the ring, are you?
I think that's going to be Paul Heyman.
You reckon?
Yeah.
But then, again, sorry, I got in there. You
I
like this?
I really enjoyed it, yeah, and I really like the developments because I was, I've never seen CM Punk live, ever. So I'll take anything at this point, pretty much, for WrestleMania. But
He's good live.
the triple threat.
He's pretty special live.
He's so good live that I had PDS way earlier than most people. I first developed symptoms before Brawl Out.
That's true.
I think I was patient zero. I was patient zero for PDS because I remember distinctly going, Punk's his attitude. There's something up with Punk. It's exhilarating, but I'm like, turn him heel, turn him heel, turn him heel. I hate him, but it's good. It's great TV, but I don't want to. He's not a babyface to me, this dude. So I have patient zero for PDS. 2023, everyone's like, isn't Collision refreshing? Isn't Collision, was it as good as the first Dynamite? No. No, it wasn't. No. Refreshing, back to basics, like quadruple heat FTR matches that go on for an hour and 30 minutes. Then maybe you've got like Miro and Andrade or whatever underneath.
Too long, those matches.
They were in there too long. Where am I going with this? My PDS is...
PDS. You're gonna lead us to Punk and Joe at Wembley.
Oh, you saw Punk live, yeah.
So 2023, I was not in the best mood with Phil. Thought the matches were too long. I hated the idea of Collision. I knew it was untenable. Everyone knew it was untenable. I'm not saying I'm some sage, even though sometimes I am. Michael Sidgwick.
That's right.
It's all good stuff.
It's all good stuff.
Me and Hamflett.
Travis Scott just sort of went around.
Me and Hamflett, Wembley Stadium, the Punker. It's like, the Punker's how he's meant, isn't he? And he's just on this. He's so...
Sidgwick holding me up with some repeated blackouts. Again.
Punk live. It was this. I think that's why the 3.5-star thing,
Yeah.
like, it's like, what a 5-star experience. Oh, it's not a 5-star match. A 5-star vibe.
Yeah.
He's so good live.
So yeah, I'll take anything at this point. But I really enjoyed this match. I know it's finisher spamming and what have you, but I was in the same mood as that MSG crowd. And the development for the triple threat, because I was always a bit like, I'd rather, until we saw the Cena heel turn, I was like, you got to do Punk Cody. And then if you're not doing that, you got to do Punk Roman or whatever. Like, yeah, Seth wasn't involved in the conversation. But we talked about this yesterday, Sidge, of like, we had the line between, obviously, Punk hates Seth, Seth hates Punk. Seth hates Roman, Roman really hates Seth. Roman and Punk, what's going on there? How are we doing? I know they've had this awkward relationship, friendship of sorts. I really liked, I know you didn't like it, I really liked I was like, Paul Heyman, there it is. Like, that's the age-old thing of, and I know it's like, it's mine. But I really like that. The paranoia of Roman Reigns.
He knows
being like,
he's got the favour.
Yeah,
so
and
at the very least, he knows that's
I think the favour is, Roman's like, I'm killing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and the match is made. And Punk's like, put me in that match. I want to kill both of those dudes.
Again, I'm still not massively drawn into any version of this yet, but I will.
They sold me on it being a main event, by the way.
I will let it play out.
Yeah.
Because I am very keen to see a CM Punk promo on all of this. And
especially after last week.
Well, this is it, right? You don't know if he's going to go out there and like to use sort of the Cody thing about Cena being, as good part-time as anybody else is full-time. That's Punk on promos. Like, he's good. He's better than most if he's half-arsing it. You can see sometimes that he's half-arsing it, but the quality's still like levels above so many others. But if he's last week's CM Punk selling you that, I might be all the way in a couple of weeks' time. Like, it will a lot be down to how he sells it. And then
the Shield reference will go hard.
Yeah.
Like, neither of you would be here if it wasn't for me. That's
going to be, and it's like, that's the proper, like, thank God we're over the period.
Especially not you, Roman.
Yeah.
Like, the idea
just
that...
Chris Hero. No one will get it, but I'll like it.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe they will, because he's got more of a chance of getting a minor pop in the building out of that than he does about saying, like, punching Jungle Boys, huh? Like, absolute silence. It's like people actually might understand this WWE history that they're leaning in on. Like, the Shield to them might be like when me and you were younger and seeing like archive footage of Bruno Sammartino. That's today's young fans be like, the Shield. I remember the Shield in the dim and distant past. Like, they might sell me on this. I'm not going to just completely throw the baby out with the bathwater and say this can't be massive, because it's Punk and Roman, and Seth is also there. It is massive in theory. Massive. It is.
Just had a really good idea, sorry.
Go for it.
Punk says, I've got a direct line to someone who knows a lot about the Shield. And I was like, he's talking to Mox. And Kurt Angle comes out.
Good stuff.
Or Triple H.
Triple H.
They've all been in the Shield.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They're all good Shield members.
Someone's got to drop the make you look strong line in there somewhere. It's got to happen.
Yeah, there's lots I think that they can still do with this. I think I expected a stronger flashpoint in Madison Square Garden. The Rumble, I was praising Rumble stuff at the time. I thought that was really impressive.
I reckon they missed the peak dramatically to begin with. Did the idea that we were just waiting for Roman to come out.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm a fair guy. I think they missed the thread and CM Punk's doing slop.
Well, let us know your thoughts on it.
Sorry, one more thing. I think CM Punk is so good at his craft that he is basically doing a lot of slop. He's doing his I need a swimming pool money acting gig. But he's so good that sometimes it obscures that slop, and I don't even like him that much.
He's going to spend like a year like elevating these mid-card programs that otherwise would be nothing just to get to like next January. Like, see you next year's Rumble Go Home program. And be like, oh, f***ing hell. Because this thing is that he can... That's another reason why I don't want it to main event, by the way. Because
makes
that
narrative
is
sense.
Exhilarating. That CM Punk selling the WrestleMania main event thing 2 years in a row now has been exhilarating. And if it's just this, it's like... But not like that. Get your singles match, get your title match, get your rock match, whatever it is that gets you in the main event. Let it feel the real deal rather than like, you got it, nice one. It came round for you. You know? I'd almost like him to not have it in the hope that next year's build will yet again be as electrifying as it was before the Rumble.